Well, good afternoon, everybody. Today, this is Debbie Marks with Fireside Chat. Um, and today, our topic is relating to how to prepare for the holidays. I know you go in the store and you see everything's out for Christmas, and you go, whoa, I haven't even made it to Thanksgiving yet. And a lot of people become overwhelmed. I know I do. I don't want to look at Christmas decorations. Well, I don't want to look at them because I have enough. I don't need any more. But in preparing for the holidays, um, there's so much involved in preparing for the holidays. And before we came on, we were talking about introverts and extroverts. And so we have the holidays coming up. We've got Thanksgiving just right around the corner, and as you all know, once we hit Thanksgiving, and Christmas is pretty much like the next day, even though you got 31 days. So I thought it would be good to have a panel in discussing, what are some of the features, what are some of the atmospheres that uh, people tend to forget, tend to like general tips. Okay, general tips. So some people say that, set a budget. What are you going to spend and know it? Make a to-do list. Gift planning, decorations, meal planning, travel plans. How many of us go away? Self-care, time management, connect with loved ones, and then reflect and appreciate. Okay, so we're talking about introvert and extrovert, and that's amazing how those two things intertwine with getting ready for the holidays. Ruth, what's your take on this?
Well, I do think that it is good to know whether you get your energy replenished by being by yourself, which is the definition of an introvert, versus getting your energy replenished by being with people. And yes, we're all on a continuum, we're somewhere, but the more that you know yourself there, the better that's going to be.
Mm-hmm.
And if you're an introvert, then yeah, you're going to have to give yourself that time. Don't plan those days packed with family. Find those little nuggets of time where you can separate yourself and replenish that energy. And that is part of loving and valuing yourself.
That's excellent. And with what you were saying, to me, that relates to making a to-do list. Because if you put together something where you know what's going on, but you can also input time for ourselves.
Yeah.
Because people don't do that. It's like you said, there's 24 hours in a day, but yet 8 of them you have to sleep.
You should.
True. You should sleep. um, but yet in those extra hours, I mean, so many people plan, okay, 9 o'clock I get up, 11 o'clock I'm going to be here, 12 o'clock, so on down the time of hours that are in a normal day. I don't do that. I can't do that. But yet, for me personally, I find by the time it's a week before Christmas, I'm getting the decorations up, I'm meal planning, and well, as far as my gift planning, I get that started at Thanksgiving or before.
Mm-hmm.
Elise, what do you think? what are you thinking about at this moment with, some of the lists that I mentioned, and if I need to repeat it, I will. But where where are you in this 10-step
Yeah.
getting ready?
Getting ready for me is a little bit different. Full disclosure, the holidays aren't like my favorite time. I had my grandfather pass in on Christmas Day of 2020. So Christmas after that has all and every holiday has just kind of felt like there's a little bit of emotional baggage just tied to it. So getting ready for me in the holidays is respecting that this isn't the time for you to like run gung ho and try and run a mile. This is a time for, like you were saying, the reflection and really meal planning and really like how much time should I, not even should, because we get caught up in the shoulda, coulda, wouldas, like what I am supposed to do. But what is it that's going to refill my bucket, my cup, my
Yes.
my passion in order for me to be able to show up for people like I want to show up? Because when people meet me, and I give the example of volleyball, because I recently just said yes and recommitted to coaching for a club season, and I haven't coached in 2 years. But like when I walk into a gym, my kids know we're about to get with it, we're about to have like a great time, but we're going to get better. And in order for me to do that, just like you and Ruth were saying, Debbie, is like I had to figure out if I need time alone or if I need time with people. And I've found that as I'm starting to get older, I'm needing more time alone. I need to be able to just kind of sit. But the other side of that is because I mean, I want to do so much that I feel obligated to have every list in the book. Like if you catch me, you're going to see me with a notepad full of like something somewhere, and I'm trying to be gentler on myself with, okay, we really don't have to get all of this done because you're not superwoman. Like it's not possible. So
Yeah.
to answer your question, getting ready for me is having grace and really sitting down and looking at how much time can I have with others and those that I want to pour into before my people meter goes off and I need to be back in the house, and trying to be more attuned to before my people meter goes off and before I become that person. I'm just like, haha, let me just leave the room. Um, knowing myself enough to know at what point that people meter is going to go off. And now I can kind of transition out instead of feeling like I already just reached a limit and I just left myself there.
Well, Elise, I love your people meter. I really do. I think that is an interesting phrase to use instead of uh, you know I need people, get away, get away, get away
Mm-hmm.
type deal. And um and I understand about that with your grandfather, the day, passing on Christmas, kind of, I don't know, it just kind of,
So, it just kind of sours it a little bit. Like, ho ho ho, but that great, like it's an anniversary for me. So I I always want to be respectful of, like, for some people, the holidays really are like the time of the year. They want to have Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer all year long. For other people, it's a place of like reflection. And I think that one of my purposes in this world is like, I understand that because I'm a part of that group. And how can I kind of instill that into the girls that I'm working with now, that look, coach isn't always going to have a great day. This isn't always going to be, perfect, but bring me 100% of what you have that day. If you're only working with 80 because you've been having a rough week, let's rock with that. Let's
yeah,
be communicative and let's be around the people who are going to refill you or know you well enough to allow you to have that time without feeling like you're being some, not weirdo, but like somebody who just doesn't want to talk to people. I'm just having a moment.
yeah, I do understand that. My mom passed away um, 3 days before Christmas, 4 days, excuse me. And it does, it just leaves a little bit of it's not a cloud, it's just a little pebble to me now.
Yeah.
And and personally, I'm a person that loves the Christmas movies on Hallmark movies and mysteries, and I'll go 2 weeks ahead and hit record on everything that I want to see. And I found that a couple of them the other night, this past week, the ones that I recorded, I actually didn't finish watching them because they were, I don't know, the actors just did not set well with me, and the message that they were supposed to be giving to the audience. And I find my peace at night after I've gone through the whole day. That gives me my peace at night. From 8 o'clock, I will watch these movies, and it kind of refreshes my attitude for the next day. I don't know how a lot of people feel about that, using a movie to replenish me, but you know what? That's where I get it. And because that's me. I'm different than Ruth or you, Elise. We've all talked about, many different sections of getting ready for the holidays. Ruth, before I move on, do you have anything else in addition to this that you would like to add?
I don't know if you want to get me started.
That's okay.
I was starting and you stop me when you're ready for me to quit talking, but I'll try to, cut it off too, because I can do that too.
Okay.
But
Because I do have one more area that I want to touch on.
Okay. Okay. I think all of this is so good. And, it is knowing who fills us up and who tears us down. And there's some people that we don't want to be around, but yet we have to because they're family. But be aware of that and either limit that time, know that you're not going to spend hours with them, but you will see them. And what I call an antidote afterwards or before that builds you up. Like Elise made reference to this with her girls. That builds you up ahead of time or fills you back up after you have been around somebody that has kind of destroyed you. And then another thought that comes to my mind, because I think this is huge, because it's one of the things that I've learned a lot this last year, is don't have any place in your life for guilt. And the holidays is a place where a lot of times we either put guilt on ourselves because we aren't doing as much as we did last year, or we let other people put guilt on us.
Great point.
Now, yes, we all have traditions that are important to us. But take time to evaluate those traditions and say, which ones are really important to me this year and which ones am I ready to let go? Which ones do I have the energy for? And which ones do I not? And some of those traditions is because they're important to other people. And yeah, I like to talk about relationships. Both you ladies know me on that. And so sometimes we do have to listen to what other people's traditions and what's important to them. But there's a thin line there between letting them put you on a guilt trip and honoring their traditions. And there's no right answer there. It's going to depend on the person. It's going to depend on the situation and what energy is required to do that tradition.
Mhm.
That's
So
why
it's-
when we get finished, or when New Year's is finished, we all take a deep breath and say, okay, I made it through.
Mhm.
What did I mess up? And do I need to fix anything?
Right.
And I would not want to end my holiday season with that feeling, but in that case, sometimes there are things we reflect back on and say, wish I hadn't done that or whatever. But go ahead, Ruth. I know you're ready to say something else.
I'm always ready to talk.
And I want to get to Elise because she had something she wanted to add to it.
And I'll say one quick thing here while you're there, because, and you're very right, Debbie, but I do think the more intentional we can be at the upfront, we haven't even started holidays yet. We're getting close. Thanksgiving is around the corner. We've ordered pies and we've done some of that type stuff. But the more intentional you can be on what you're going to do this year and what's important to you,
Mhm.
the less you're going to have regrets later.
Mhm.
Exactly. Boy, nail on the head. Elise, what did you want to add?
I think that I always love to hear Ruth talk. I really do, because it's always just like a relatable statement. So I hear exactly what you're saying, and there's some traditions that you want to be a part of, and or you might feel like you need to be a part of. And one of the things that I'm really trying to be gentle with myself about is the giving myself permission to set things down as they no longer serve me. So
Yeah.
the
Yes.
the feeling that, oh, I need to spend X amount of time with family or somebody that I'm really not vibing with, there's some kind of hurt there. Like, do I really need to do that? Or am I going to give myself permission to say, okay, look, this is the box that we're going to hold this in. This is how we're dealing with it. And what do we say? But plan the work and then work the plan. And like, that's one of the things that, like, I'm really trying to rationalize in my head, because I want to be perfect. I want everything to go as planned. I want it to look good. I want it to smell good. I want people to be happy when they're thinking about it. And having that reaction, it's more about the others than it is for me. And
Right.
as we're talking about with relationships, and as I've heard Ruth say, but the relationship with yourself is the most important, because you are the only person that you're going to have to spend your entire life with. So if
I
I am,
you told me that. I think
yeah.
you gave me that phrase. As far as the only person you're going to have to spend your life, you told me that one, Elise. But you're right. It is
like,
thermostat.
So how does
yeah,
that go again? Only what?
you're the only person that you'll spend your entire life with. You're the
Isn't that
only
true, Debbie?
relationship that you have your entire life.
I mean,
What? Go ahead, Ruth.
it's the relationship with yourself sets the thermostat for how high your other relationships can go.
Yep.
But Elise added that last piece on there one time when we were talking, and that is so, so true. And the more you can love and value yourself, it naturally overflows. You
Mm-hmm.
think it's going to come across as selfish and arrogant, and it's not.
Yeah. Yes.
You know, there's a mentor that's been in my life, and he uses the phrase "show up, filled up."
Yes.
And you know, if we would take that into consideration when we're going into these holiday get-togethers, whether it's networking, whether it's because we're going to have some of those, or whether it's with friends, or whether it's with family, to center yourself first and make sure that you have a good relationship with yourself. You spent time loving and valuing yourself, then you're going to be able to show up filled up. And
Exactly.
you're going to want to know at least what's going on in your life. And
Mm-hmm.
it's going to come across as authentic.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And isn't it interesting how at the holidays we seem to run into people that we haven't seen in a while. But by the time you finish talking with them, you get the they're not being authentic with you. They're being
Right.
fake.
Yeah.
And that's one thing I don't like. I don't like that. And you know, there are times where in my past life I probably did that, and that's probably why I am so against it now. Just be yourself. You're more interesting when you be yourself. Would you not agree with me, ladies?
We're nodding our heads.
Good.
You turn me loose and get me to talk again, Debbie. I'll take the microphone.
Okay. On that note, here's just an ending to this section. Remember, the holidays are a time to enjoy and celebrate. So try not to stress too much about perfection. We talked about that. Flexibility and a positive mindset can go a long way in making the season enjoyable for everyone involved. And I believe that's the way I feel. I want to come away with knowing that I have met my objective, or whatever, however you say that. And I have come away with the feeling like I succeeded in my quest. I don't think that's too being bold.
No.
Am I being
I
too
would say
bold?
so. No, I think like succeeding in your quest and and I think the most important part is figuring out what the heck kind of quest you want to have. The
Right.
question is, what kind of quest do you want to have this holiday season? And once you determine that, work on it, do it, love it, and figure out how you can recharge yourself during this season of rest. As all trees need rest and they shed their leaves and they come back, how do you do that? And what does that journey look like for you?
Right.
I
Now,
love that
lady,
analogy about the trees.
say what, Ruth?
I love the analogy with the trees, even though
Okay.
Christmas trees don't shred leaves, but but it still is good. And so it's finding those little pockets of rest in there. Now, Debbie, I interrupted you, so go ahead and finish your question.
No, that's okay. I just want to move on to the other side of the coin, because here we've been talking about, I don't know, I don't think we're all three in the same generation. At least Ruth and I are.
Elise isn't.
No.
Not exactly.
So I'm not going to put you in the same boat. But on that other hand, you still can relate because you know from your childhood. And so here we are. We have our generation, the seniors, whatever age you want to classify that as, 65 and older.
The adults, the seasoned adults. I'm still in the quarter adult life crisis. You are the seasoned adults. You have seen some seasons.
I love that. I am a seasoned adult. I'm going to use that. I'm telling you.
She's amazing. She's got all kinds of wisdom in that head.
Well, so here we are. We're talking about us, and we're the ones that get out, get things done. Excuse me. But there are actually, and maybe that's not a good way to do it, because my point of this section was talking with talking about seniors and the holidays, but yet I was going to add seniors that are grieving. And I just realized it's any age that would be grieving at the holidays. It's not just the seniors. And I don't, Elise, you broke the ice on that one for me, because I never, it didn't cross my mind, because so much of the population talks about the seniors and they're grieving, but they don't think about or discuss the in-betweeners, because it really doesn't matter. I mean, you can be 25 years old and all of a sudden become a grieving person for whether it's a family member or a spouse. And so that was an awakening moment just now for myself. But
Even kids,
what?
even kids may have lost a parent or a grandparent. So
Oh.
there's no respecter of age.
And grief during the holidays knows no age, and it holds no punches at all.
How true.
Do you think, ladies, because both of you guys have had a parent pass during that season, that it's magnified?
Oh, that's a good question. I would say yes,
Mhm.
because everyone else is so happy, and so happy, air quotes, that it feels like you have to try and put a lid on whatever grieving process you're trying to go through in order to meet the illusion of everyone's air quote happy. So I feel like at least during the holidays for all ages, any kind of grief is magnified, because while I'm listening to music in Barnes and Noble that is normally cheery and, oh, Jack Frost nipping at your nose, when that's one of your lost loved one's favorite songs, like, so now everyone else is happy and enjoying the song because it's Christmas time, but you in your head are like, wow, they love this song and now I don't get to share that with them,
Yeah, yeah. And I just thought, well, go ahead.
No, Ruth, go ahead.
I just thought of something else too. I mean, you're talking about losing a loved one right during the holidays. And the closest I hit to that was December 1st. But it's not just that they passed during that time. It's that this is the first holiday without them.
Mm-hmm.
And the traditions had to change. I remember the first time. I'm going to get teary-eyed. You guys are going to have to just put up with it. And it was decades ago, but my mom would always come up. My mom and dad would come up for Thanksgiving. And it was fun, but the most fun was putting up the Christmas decorations with my mom there, because she loved Christmas. And she said, "Oh, I forgot you had this, Ruth. Oh, this is so cool."
Mm-hmm.
And the first Thanksgiving that she wasn't there was extremely hard, putting up the Christmas decorations.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah. And I can relate to that. We always lived a couple hours from my mom, but we always went to see her. And I remember the things that we did together when I would go there. And it's like, I don't get to do that anymore. But yet I guess I'm going to say is I can say that I'm becoming more to terms with this, except this year. This year, I feel, and I know this is cheesy, but I wish I could have just a few more minutes with her. Yeah. Because she was always my encourager. She was always gave me praise. She was always my teacher. And yeah, it might just be my frame of mind, but that's what I want for this year. Elise, you wanted to say something?
I was just agreeing, just wanting those couple extra minutes. And I think that's what, you were alluding to, is that the grief for all ages is just, it can be there, and just wanting a couple more minutes to just kind of share those moments, because it feels like, or it's supposed to be, such a magical time of the year. So I agree.
Is there a way to recreate that?
I'm sorry?
Is there a way to recreate that? And for each situation, each person, it's going to look different.
Mm.
Like
Sure.
the first thing that came to my mind was to journal and write a letter to that
Mm.
person.
Mm-hmm.
Perfect.
And it may be, for somebody else, it might be having an imaginary cup of coffee with them sitting across the table from you.
Yeah.
Those are just things that pop in my head. And then I'm going to take this a little bit different direction, Debbie, if that's okay.
Sure.
Because we've been talking about people that we love passing, and that's huge. Well, I got one more thing to say about that before I move on to something else. And that is when Elise was talking about holding it in so that, putting a lid on it. When you said that, Elise, the more we don't process grief when it comes up, the more it goes underground. To have a healthy grieving process, you don't wallow in it, but yet you let it come. You you feel sad, you let it come, and you process what is hurting that day. And then when it comes again, whether it's the next day, or if it's 2 weeks from then, or 2 years from then, you process that part then. But whenever you feel like you can't process your grief around certain people or during certain times, that's not healthy.
Mm-hmm.
No.
Now I'm going to go on a lighter note. Is that okay?
Yes.
Go for it.
And that is, sometimes we have to grieve that a season of our life is over.
Mm.
But we can't have the traditions that we've had in other years.
Mm-hmm.
And there's all kinds of reasons for this. It may be the kids have grown up. They may not want to do the cutout sugar cookies anymore. That's just a funny one. But it may be that your kids have gone out and got married, and now you have to share with with the in-laws, and you don't get to have them every holiday. These are just little examples, and you need to grieve those too.
Mm-hmm.
You need to say, I miss this, but it's part of growing up. It's part of them growing up and moving forward in their life, and that's healthy.
Mm-hmm.
I agree. And so, in your opinion, how would you approach someone that you know? Did your grandfather still have his wife?
It's not to
Um,
Elise.
yes, my grandmother, well, when my grandfather passed, this was my mom's side, both of her parents were now gone.
Oh, okay.
My grandmother on my father's side.
Okay.
So you still have your grandmother on your father's side?
Correct.
So taking that bringing that into the picture, how does one deal with talking with someone that has lost a loved one? Like, so your mom has lost both her mom and her dad.
Mm-hmm.
So you kind of wonder, what is she going through? How is
Mm-hmm.
she feeling? And we as an individual, we know what we're going through. But what we
Mm-hmm.
need to also look at is, what are they going through? How are they dealing with it? And if it's, is there something that we can do to help this person get through the holidays? What do you guys think about that? That's a tricky question.
So I am in my, okay, you gotta excuse the Taylor Swift, and I'm really not a Taylor Swift fan anyway, so I don't know why I'm acting this, but like I'm in my era. I'm in my not selfish era, but like understanding how other people's grief will affect me as well. And in the selfish part of my era, I have to first understand that I cannot hold their grief. I can empathize with it, but I cannot understand. And the one thing that I always want to do is try and understand, but you're not always meant to understand. I'm not going to get what it's like to be at the holidays without both of my parents. However, I want to be able to empathize and hold the space for, let's say, my mom, and asking her what it is that her grieving process looks like. Does she need space? Does she need time alone? What is it like? Do you want to make a big meal? Do you want to do that and just have us come over? Like, what is it that makes the holiday feel a little bit more normal for you? And then figuring out how, not that I can accommodate it, but how it can accommodate me. Because in the true fashion of just what Ruth said, like show up filled up, I can't always have what they need. But if I can ask and be a part of what it is that they're telling me that they need, then I feel like I've done my job, if that makes sense.
It does, totally. Ruth, what do you think?
I mean, I love what Elise said about asking. And I think that's key in this is the communication.
Mm-hmm.
And
Mhm.
the other piece that I think is very important, and we've kind of made reference to this, I think, somewhat in this discussion anyway, is creating that safe place where they don't have to put on the mask and they can be honest about, this is how I feel.
Yeah.
And this is what I really would help now, if that works for you. I know that there were certain people in my life after my mom died that I felt very safe to talk to about. And there were others that they couldn't handle it. And it was like the elephant in the room. I can't talk about that with you, Ruth. And I just shut down around them.
And that's hard. That's
Oh, it
hard for
is.
us to understand.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
So I do think it's that showing up, filled up, and be centered enough within ourselves.
yeah.
We can, and at least you use the word, hold space for them. But that we can create that safe environment for them to, and if they tell us that this holiday, I just really need to be by myself, that we respect that.
Mhm.
Mm-hmm.
Mhm. With what actually the three of us have been discussing, um, with my notes, it doesn't matter what level of grieving they're doing, but what we need to make sure is that we understand the challenges that they are going through, and the fact that the feeling of loss can intensify as well as loneliness.
Mm-hmm.
I have a few suggestions that to think about to help navigate the holidays for those that are going to listen to the recording of this. One of them is acknowledge and validate the feeling. We've really discussed that one. And communicate their needs. What is it that will help them? Not what we think they need, but what they want. And then, and I like this one because I've tried to do it, is create new traditions. There is so much out there that we don't have to be stuck in doing the same thing year after year. Also simplify your celebrations. Kind of have their feelings or in mind, but yet, you know, don't forget there's other people. Always make sure to plan ahead. But also find a way to honor and remember. And for me, I learned this. I help a lady at church. She is part of the Grief Share organization at different areas, and she does a 1-day grief share, getting through the holidays. No age limit. It's awesome. But the one thing I learned from the first time I went to it was that they recommend you lighting a white candle and let it burn the entire holiday season, because that white candle in effect lets you know that they are there with you. And I just love that. If they need support, help them, and make sure that one of the important things is the self-care. People have a tendency to forget to eat. Sometimes they forget that they need to go do things. So you want to keep that in mind, and always let them know that there's a support system. You can be a support system. And one other thing is creating a memorial gathering. Just something like, I did a memorial for my mom, and it was a couple months after she had passed, but it was a day for the family to get together, and it was great. It was the worst day worth of weather that anybody could have, but it was so worth it. And I'll share this one thing. This was the best. This was the awesomest thing that I remember out of this, is that I planned a balloon launch, but the wind was so bad that day that instead of the balloons going straight up, they went to the right. They went across the backyard. And to me, that was a symbol. So to me, these categories are quite significant, but I know we're getting near to the end of our time. But I just wanted to mention that. Do either of you have any comments you want to make about what I said, listed? Or did we do it? We covered it good, didn't we?
I think we did very well.
Yes, I think so.
I think so too.
So with that, just for now, my conclusion for preparing for the holidays, whether as a senior or someone experiencing grief, involves a thoughtful and individualized approach. It's important to prioritize self-care, communicate openly with friends and family about your needs, and be willing to adapt traditions to suit your current circumstances. Whether simplifying celebrations, creating new traditions, or seeking support, the key is to honor your feelings and navigate the holiday seasons in a way that fosters healing, comfort, and a sense of connection with others. Remember that everyone's journey through the holidays is unique, and finding a balance between honoring the past and embracing the present can contribute to a more meaningful and positive experience. As I'm not going to say another word. Ruth, Elise, what do you have to add to this? In conclusion,
I would say to be intentional on what you want your holidays to look like. Don't set the bar too high and get into that perfection mode, but then just relax and enjoy it.
yes. Elise?
I definitely would agree. And what I would share, this is a background on my phone because I have to have a constant reminder. Most people do vision boards. I haven't started my vision board actually, so I need to start planning on that. But the main tagline is how to finish. 1 is set the bar lower. 2, simplify your task. 3, take twice as long. 4, neglect the unimportant. 5, kill until. 6, get rid of secret rules. 7, have twice as much fun. And 8, trade perfect for done.
Elise, that's amazing.
It was perfect for what?
Trade perfect for done.
Done.
Yes, yes.
I heard dumb.
No,
No.
don't trade for dumb. Done. Stick a fork in it. It's finished. Trade perfect.
You know, that's a really good list to add to what we have already discussed, and I appreciate that contribution from you. That is awesome. I'm going to have to go back to the recording and write that down because I've decided that I'm going to do a blog this holiday season using some of what we have talked about and my notes to, I'm get to a point where all everybody's doing is talking about business and this is what you need to do for me. It's all about me, and we need to change that atmosphere. I mean, I don't like it. I don't. So ladies, what farewell words would you like to share with people on the recording? Ruth?
I thought we did that. I'm just going to say, enjoy yourself. Have a great time. Love on yourself and love on those around you.
Well, and here's my thought. We all needed to hear it again. So Elise, other than what you read before, is there anything else you'd like to say?
Be conscious of your personal needs and give yourself permission to follow through on those, because you are the only relationship that you will have for your entire life.
Great ending. Perfect, Elise. I can always count on the both of you ladies to give everyone thoughts to think about. I don't want to say words because words are put into sentences and they have a whole lot more meaning than just certain words. Whatever. Ladies, I would like to thank you so much for joining me today. And to those of you that are listening to this recording, please look back at the rest of the recordings that I've done for the year, because they've all been great guests And today I just wanted it to be about us. I didn't want to focus on one individual, which Elise and Ruth, you both of you ladies are just awesome. I am so glad you came on my table talk, if you want to call it that. And so with that, I will say happy Thanksgiving, because we still have another month to go. And I appreciate all your help today. Thank you, guys. I'll see you later.